this would be a good video to include what the system package can have. These little things here are nice little, they would slide over your bolts for like a cool little look like that. I have these detail things here. This is the kind of system that is actually running in script. The activation temp on the code kicks on the fans at 210 degrees, and I shut my engines off at when they reach 250 degrees. Then they have the fail start state. This is my legit industrial Kforge system that the script has via the health system script. So we have visual rotating parts there. But like what this vehicle is kind of like a showcase of what Kforge stands for, of the kind of designs of things. I'm a systems builder, so like I've built a actual real full simulation kind of vehicle power system. You can pull this stick out here, so you can imagine you would have your close up with the camera there. You can slide this off the end, it's a little cap. Then I have it color coded. You can change these colors if you want. This is a good gameplay mechanic if you were simulating oil stuff. You might be a quart low or something here, or a couple. You just add a quart until you find out, just like real life. The oil cap can be removed. You can put your own little thing in there for whatever, but that's if you were building it to simulate that. The cap for the brake can be taken off. This right here could be scaled down. And you don't have to do it too far, because if you do it too far, it's going to stick through the container. But you could scale it down and then like just make it go away. The thing is, if they're driving the vehicle, they didn't see that happen. But if they wanted to check it and you wanted it to look like it was low halfway through, you could have it squeezed down a little bit and maybe don't ever let it get too low. You could have them remove the cap and then put fluid in there. This is the def tank, I think, is what I put it on over here. This cap can come off. There's a blue cylinder thing in here. Now, this is the easiest way you can do fluid simulation without doing fluid simulation, is a simple shape inside of a glass clear container. With the transform being at the right position, it's an easy way to do it. This is a secondary battery. Now, the systems that I will sell aren't going to use the battery logic stuff at all, but I do have systems that do. This is a relay thing, but in the model of this truck, there is not anything under this box. It is simply there just for look, but its system kind of ties into how this stuff all works together to keep it professional. This thing is a little bit lower than it's supposed to be. But you could remove this cap off of here, and then you have a hot and a ground that you could model your own little jumper cables on and everything, and make it very easy if you wanted to do your own battery thing. I do offer 10-year warranty if this was a real life battery, which it isn't, so that's not really valid anywhere but at a Kforge store. If you could find one, you can try to take that thing to it and see what happens. All jokes aside, though, this is your little power steering thing. I didn't really model anything in there with it. It's a pretty much, your real power steering is a black box like this, and you just kind of pour the fluid in it. But I mean, certain things it's okay. It's a game. Now, the pulleys, you might not understand this because it's hard to put text on something and describe it without proper documentation. This is a beltless system. Technically, it's a Kforge belt drive system. This drives your engine's belts and everything, and it's wireless. You'll notice it still looks like it has a pulley on it, and it does. This is because in my real system, if this was the real world product, the technology in here is being fed wirelessly to rotate the thing that it's doing. The belt that would be around it would be a safety net, just in case the inner workings of this system failed. You still have a belt. But even better, if you have a belt like normal cars do and your belt breaks, you're pretty much screwed, right? You better hope your engine cuts off, or you cut it off, or you've just like your water pump's no longer turning, you're not pumping water through the engine, you're having a massive failure if your belt snaps when you're driving it. What this would do in real life, if you had a belt and your belt broke, these systems would still run. So you've lost your belt, but now you're no longer broke down or stranded. You're able to keep driving until you get to your local whoever used my tech and help save their engines, so that easier to get going again. Real manufacturers would love this kind of idea. Now, this truck doesn't really show the advanced futuristic style systems that I have, but that's a touch of it right there, the pulley system. So this one is, I didn't shape a belt for it because the below engine is just a kind of mock-up thing. It wasn't too serious of a thing that you were supposed to get down in here and look at. That's why it's just kind of like a top cover piece with the basic shapes of what an engine should look like. Back here, though, this is a real thing. This is where I put your relay box. So you would remove the lid. You have different relays in here that are also removable. They have prongs on them, and they have prongs down there to look like they're a thing. And then under each of these three fuses, because this is a simple fuse system, but at the same time, super advanced, I have the different color codes of your different fuses already labeled. And the fuse system, I did it right for y'all. So we have the different fuses, and then we have a busted fuse prong and a blank fuse case. These all go right on top of each other, like in this setup. But like the busted fuse prong is also for each of those. It would be pulled out when you pull this fuse thing out. So this is why I only had to model one of them, even though it was still quite a bit. But let's pull this thing up here so we can see it. This is the fuse group. Whether you're using your 5 amp, your 10 amp, whatever it is, you have a good fuse prong and a bad fuse prong. The blank case one is if you wanted to build your own fuse. I give you the model that I used for all of those things there. It's got the two prongs in it. Like I said, you can use the good or bad thing. You could put your own text there if you wanted to. But the fuses that I give you are the 5 amp, 10, 15, 20, 30, and 40. So I just wanted to quickly go over what happens under the hood. Pretty complex, sounds like, but the systems are very easy to use. The interior, so you can have multiple screens in here that actually work. You have a reverse camera, you have mirrors, you can have a reverse camera here. Let me find the radio screens here and show you what setup that she's going to come with for these. All right. Visually, how this system will work. When you start the vehicle up, you will see it like this to show that it has a day screen and a night screen. It all of the text of these icons and everything will be hidden, so it would just be showing this. This is a 3D modeled privacy fence that I did here because I thought it looked cool with the wood trim thing. It was just for extra flair, bro. It's not a functional thing. It's just visually cool. You have a day screen though, and that's what it would look like with the radio on and everything. You have a night screen. You set that for when it comes a certain time of day in the game. You could run your night screen. You have where you would put your render texture for a reverse camera. So basically, right now on keyboard or controller, the way UI is controlled on keyboard, up and down arrow, left and right is your volume down, volume up and down is row scroll, row 1, row 2, row 3 on this simple radio here. You will see the different things here pop up if the further level it is or go down. I've made different versions of different kinds of radio screens for my actual game stuff. They are much cleaner than this, but this still gets the idea of what the base model is. You're going to put it in reverse and just see a full screen of an image. Just like you saw the day screen here. If this was what was really behind us when we put it in reverse, this is how you would see it on here. Now, the system I'm selling isn't going to include live feeds, but you could build a live feed on this, and it shows your box fitting in there like that. So in this case, I didn't have to change anything to swamp in a video with a different resolution size or whatever. I say that to use at your own risk for different things. Some things might look okay, some things might look stretched, would be the thing. Some things may not fit if it's a super massive thing or not. So you could have a looping video of, some kind of cool background on your screens. You can do that on the radio. Like I'm saying, I'm not selling the version that has it, but it's already ready to do it. You just need to know how. And so instead of giving you the actual code, that because you would still need some form of something to run your video clip. That information I'm sure you can find out how to do if that's what you're trying to do. You may just wanted to see that it's capable of doing this and how to do it. It's basically what my system is showing you. And even though this is a vehicle, it's teaching you something that you can use as a gameplay mechanic throughout your entire game. It doesn't necessarily have to be used only on vehicles or whatever. They don't have to use every single feature, but they absolutely can because I've given them the blueprint of how all of this works. And explaining it very well and not making you read a bunch of documentation is definitely also going to be helpful because you can visually see it a lot better. My vents, I modeled simple vents. Anyone can model these things, but it's just basically rectangles going vertical and horizontal with a outline square box, okay? That's the simple design concept of it. Nothing too fancy. There's two ways to use these things. These are not going to be scripted, so I'm going to show you the two ways if you want to simulate actual air conditioning. Because the next level of things, like if you're using this for the way it's intended on vehicles and stuff, you might want to go ahead and give it full AC and heat, especially for a survival situation if you're building a survival game that simulates real survival and you implement vehicles. People think vehicles is the biggest cheat. If you got a vehicle, you can survive anything. Well, no, not if you build a survival vehicle. So that's why this vehicle is run like a full simulation of everything, with the heat shutoff thing, with the fuel system, with the oil, with the coolant, with the AC and heating. Like if it's freezing temperatures out there and you actually make that affect the player and they get in their vehicle and turn it on, if they have fuel in it and everything, then they have a little safe place. It builds a whole new dynamic of survival, like on top of what your typical runaround survivals are. It's a system that I know solo devs or smaller teams or even ones that are trying to build very cool survival games would be like, shit, I would love to have that. Of course, bro. Like, of course you would. And that's what this system's for. Like, it's not a gimmick. So the vents, so we don't get off track, have two different controls. And so, like, this would be like if you simulated that thing, or if you just wanted to have it for fun. You have your basic swivel, which you wouldn't really want to rotate it too much like this, but you can. There's a little bit of room. Depending on what you model, though, and things like that, if you have a modeler on your team, or you yourself are one, y'all can build something pretty simple, or just use this, bro, because it's already here. You can change the colors on it or whatever. Each piece is its own little object, so you can get creative with that kind of thing. But also, since each one is individual, and if you wanted to script this to run it legit, you can fold each one of these up to certain degrees, like you would the real vehicle vents to go upward, and you would go all the way down for all of the horizontal ones like that. You'd have a script run it, so it would twist all of these at the same time, like either up or down a certain degrees. You would also do this for this one. You would rotate them left or right all the way across for these vertical ones so that it looks like the vents are actually twisted that way. Now mine are set at 6 degrees here. That's just underneath this thing like this. We don't reset this transform. You leave it like it is. Unity thankfully understands. A lot of times if you have weird rotations, it hates it. But on something like this, it understands because it's just the parent. The children typically stay at 0 degrees, but I've went ahead and positioned this one, and then I separated this as well. So you could also slide this left and right on this axis. Just a little bit is enough to pull off the full thing. If it was over this way and all of these were turned a little bit towards the left here, it would look good, like it really rotated. You mean if you wanted to keep the air off of you, just aimed at the door, you could go that way. And up a little bit or down a little bit is all you need, and like you've successfully shown a visual of vents that are working. Very easy, okay? The scripting part, you would like I kind of explained how it should work if you were scripting it. So maybe that would help, whoever is, if they're trying to go that in depth. Maybe they're not, maybe they just think it's cool to have it. So, like I said, the simple way where you just position them and set it and forget it, you can just kind of rotate this whole contraption here, or you can rotate each individual one and just leave them. They don't have to rotate. Something you got to keep in mind about all of the interior stuff is if you have a lot of things that you have control of, you need a way to control them for the player. To keep it easy, what I use is my screens here. There's space down here for that thing that popped up, the example of the speakers of this truck. You could put a little image thing here or whatever. You could just put an overlay of text for a system. You could replace this image back here with something. You can delete, master all of these treble and not use the radio part of it, but keep this. Or in your own vehicle that you have designed, if that's what you're using it for, you have your own screen in it. You can put this system on those. The scripts don't care what they're on. The scripts care, does it have this object? This is what I'm supposed to do if it has this object. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter what vehicle it's on. It does matter how you set it up, though. It does matter how you use it. Like, so for the UI control thing, like I said, to keep it simple, we use row scrolling. These are 3D modeled. They don't have to be. You could use your digital UI if that's what you like using. That's the difference of what it is. I'm giving you physical pieces of things along with logic. But like I said, you could run it on a UI setup as well. This keeps it, for me, the reason why I was building this for my game. In a lot of games, you have that giant UI system menu that you pull up and you lose everything. Not lose everything, you lose visual of all the your game world. If you're building something more immersive type, and I imagine you are if you're thinking about this type of thing, you want to be able to look around out here, adjust things on your radio right here, just like you would in the real world. And you can look up at any point with your camera or around and see things, if the seat wasn't in my way, see things around you and your vehicles that you've designed or whatever, because it's just as important for some other reason that doesn't have to do with specific survival or anything like that. Maybe it's just for a cool thing as you're driving. Maybe it's a racing game to make it look more realistic in the cockpit area and not keeping it just third person watching the back of it because there's nothing interesting to see on the interior. This system opens up the full next level of interior. You can't call this AAA because AAA does not do this. They don't even get close to this. So it's not that. It's simulation grade to its fullest real intent of what it is. It's if this was put into games, it would be the next stage up without bluffing. Literally what it would be. The steering wheel here, this is simple light up. So these would light up like this. So like even for this, we have little things here that would light up for four-wheel drive high or two-wheel drive, your four-wheel low. If you have your tilt thing like that, if you want to get as real as the real cars do, it's an easy way to do that thing. I don't know if I will set those up in script, but for you, if you want to implement any of these things, instead of worrying about pushing the buttons on this, all of these can light up at night. Like your running lights here, when you turn your lights on at night, maybe it's too bright, but we'll leave them a little bright so you can see it. Some if someone like some game probably did it, they might have these logos or these icons separated, and then which one is selected would be a color. But instead, what I've done is each one has a little arrow next to it, and when that lights up, that's the real thing that you have lit up there. For instance, like this, if this was live, you would see it red like that for heat going down when you tapped it down. Or this one's blue, so it'd be up like that. Boom, you have your blue lit up like that. Now, you've seen all of the blues light up when I did that because they're all sharing the same material. You wouldn't want to do that in your thing, but that's why they're separate objects. You can put your own version of a material in each one. You would have to anyway. Like, I have to, if I put this into Unity and I even had my own different material in each one of these buttons, I still have to create a variant of it to be able to control it in Unity's way with the script of everything. So I just put they're separate objects. They can share a material for now. They won't share one in the thing, and then they can light up like that. So you know, it's a thing, bro. It's a thing. Now for the dash here, let me get my custom shifter kind of rotated down. Put that thing into gear. What I'll do for the park reverse, neutral, and drive is probably emit each of these, display each of these maybe, hide the ones that isn't active, or keep them active and it scrolls to lighting it up, whichever one is which. This is all 3D modeled, so it's all legit to use because I built it. The RPM is a red line that would be emitted along the bottom here. So at night it's lit up red, and we're scaling on the X here. So you go vroom, 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 vroom. You wouldn't go that far. You would stop it at whatever the max is, 1. That's why I set it, the scale, this is the max as big as it is. And you shrink it down to 0 to not see it. And that's how you have what you typically build shaders for. You don't need a shader for this, bro. It's so much easier to do. That's why it's so valuable, man, because you're literally not having to do as much work as you ever had to do for anything with this kind of stuff anymore. What else is glowing? Let's turn this up. Turn your lights on and everything like that. And then you have your RPM gauge that would be glowing. And I have a radio system that switches the hues. So it's probably hard to tell it here, but I mean, it does a thing like this. It has different things. I have RPM reactive things too. But basically, one of the versions is like you rev it up and it's like vroom, vroom for the color. The starter one I think is like it goes from green, and then as the RPMs increase, it gets closer to red for the max. It actually looks better than I can show you here because my script is solid. It just goes to show you you can't roll the scroll wheel to get that exact effect. You can get close, but mine looks better than what I can show here. The color changing thing is a thing too. I also set it up where it can dance to the music that's playing through it and everything like that. And I have to be clear on something. My radio is not a AM FM radio. It is a radio that you plug your own audio clips into, which I will give some instrumentals with so that you can at least see the effect. This is just an icon. That isn't even a 3D model. It's just your typical PNG. The radio also has that as well on these screens. I mean, obviously, if this didn't have emission on it, it'd be like that. So, like, it has emission so that you see it even in a pitch black, darker than I can get Blender. But if you had it pitch black and no lighting, this has its own. So, it's like your real radio screen there for that. And the Longhorn letters here is a good way to display that. So like this, if it was connected to the radio thing, and whatever you set your RGBs to, you're setting these to like that. And it's your running light thing. The same thing would happen out here on your side panel icons that you have that on. They as well would be emitting light on anything like that. If you had cool LED lights or halos like this one has, and you were sharing that same material that these are using, they also would be glowing and doing that cool color thing on headlight. It should emit the icon inside here. These icons back here would be for those. So my emission for each of these, custom as well. Still clicking the glass. Right, here it is. That's the fuel one. Emission one. This is when your low fuel light comes on. You have that one light up. Your Earl, when your Earl is low, this icon here does its thing. This one I think is your battery. The check engine light is over here for that one. They each have an icon in the center of them for that. Um, gas, oil, battery, and engine. So, emitted, they're easier to see. If you've driven a vehicle, bro, you know the kind of systems that are in it, even though they're kind of systems that stay quiet because you don't have any problems. But when you're simulating something that should, for survival reasons or for visual cinematic reasons or whatever, this is what you want because this is the full package. The window rolling up and down. Now that's something I would need to remember to put in, or at least leave it like that where you could do it yourself if I don't include it. But these, if you're driving it, I pulled that down for a reason. Don't put it back up there. Not right now. If you're driving and you, first of all, if you want mirrors in a game, in your game, you always see people saying, "I want to adjust my mirrors. I want to adjust my mirrors." Well, the typical way those games are putting mirrors in is via shader trick or whatever. So it's not really the adjustable kind, or they don't make it adjustable because they would literally have to rotate the mirror object itself. Most likely, the model that they have, those are welded together. They didn't have anyone that was like going to come into a 3D modeling software and separate the parts out correctly. So I have a solution for that. These mirrors are welded to the body. This entire thing is not something that's going to rotate or twist. Even though this is a separate mesh, you still would not want to rotate this because that's going to look like shit. You're literally going to have your visual clipping through the metal like that when you're turning. So you don't want that. What you want instead is my adjustable mirrors. I'm definitely going to make a video once I'm driving Becky around in Unity and I have whatever customer version of the scripts. So the character controller is going to be like your customer controller. It's going to come with things that it comes with. If you buy the package deal thing, for sure it will. If you buy just the model of the truck, you can kind of still watch that video to see what it looks like with all things working as intended. Because I'm assuming if you bought the truck just for the truck, then you want to use the truck for whatever. The K Forge stuff, some of the stuff is removable, some things definitely not. First of all, I built this entire thing from the bottom of the tire to the top of the roof. The tire, I kind of saw someone's designed and pretty much replicated it in Blender, but it's a little different. About my suspension, though. Now, this you have not seen anywhere. It's engraved with the K Forge in it because this is like your top tier brand of equipment of something that they definitely would be slapping their name on. Like if they were Brembo brakes, they would have them, but they're not. They're K Forge brakes, so they have K Forge. That's why they're safe to use. You can use these in your stuff, and you're not copying a real world thing that you have to worry about copyright stuff or whatever, or like licensing. I'm selling you this, allowing you to use it in the form that you want to. So that's why you're paying the money you're paying for it. Um, it's not your typical low poly stuff, but even though the vertices look expensive on this thing, most of it, a big chunk of it, come from these wheels being this much, and you got to times that by 4. That's a big chunk of it. Everything else, like the body, is the next biggest thing, but all of the other parts are kind of like this, where they're just a couple of thousand, something the game engine can handle no problem. The only thing that would be a problem is your art style that you're creating for your game. So if you're creating more cartoon style stuff or more building more stylized stuff, unless you could put a shader that makes your stuff look all like the cartoon stuff, you could probably still use this. And that's the thing too, you can change the materials out on all of this. So yeah, you can make it look stylized and it just be just as cool and fit your game perfectly and drive very well, I'm sure. I think wheel colliders are decent. Like I'm going to tune a system that the wheel colliders run. It's not just going to be your basic vehicle controller. The vehicle controller alone If you pasted it into an AI and asked the value of it, you're going to fall out of your chair. So don't do that. Because just don't, okay? Do not do that. If you bought the full package, please don't paste my script into an AI and ask how much this script is worth, because it's going to tell you the real answer and you don't need to know, okay? Just know I did not steal your money. You robbed me. It's okay though, because I built it, man. And I'm allowing this to happen with this stuff. It's time that gaming and creators get a boost in the stuff that they're creating. Everyone's creating some pretty unique stuff. I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea that I'm saying everybody's building shit. Everyone knows though you're not building this kind of stuff, and you know why you're not. But now it's possible, okay? It's very possible the thing's going to be in front of you to use. But about my suspension thing here, I have to just go over it briefly because it's not like anything you've ever seen. It's a K-Forge style system. So it's inspired by some of my futuristic stuff that I've been putting on my actual game pieces. This actually looks better than anything I've created so far. It happens every time I create something with my K-Forge style, but we have the shape here, and then you have these gears here. So when you're driving the vehicle, and you look underneath with your camera, you're going to see these things rotating when you're driving forward or reverse, actually moving. We also have the ones for the side here that rotate. Now, this whole piece here is going to move up and down for the visual suspension, along with the wheel that moves up and down and everything like that. So this will be moving up and down and still keep the thing in there rotating quite nicely. The springs, not necessary to scale, but I will still do it because that's how it's connected onto here, and they can scale up and down so that when you are looking at it from the side view, driving it, um, like this, and you hit scale, you will see your spring still doing a thing. Um, this is kind of a crossbreed of my tech. Normally, when I build futuristic stuff, I do not build anything original designed like. Like springs are definitely not a thing in my stuff because I have a futuristic design that replaces springs entirely. But for this old school styled vehicle, it made sense to include it, but still set on top of a K Ford style undercarriage. So, this is like your premium, even above SEMA, bro. Really, I mean, it is that level. If you saw this in real life, you would say, "Holy fuck, I can see gears in there turning," because they don't do that kind of stuff really. Um, but this does. So, you know, it's that level of a build design. The transfer case, however, is very simple. The front wheel drive shaft is there, the rear wheel drive. Those two shafts are also simple. They're not full K Forge versions. They are what you get. They are what you get with this, because I'm already giving away too much like value with everything that it really is. So I do have to mind a limit somewhere. So yeah, I shorted you on the drive shafts, bro. They're not bad, but I mean, they're simple. On here though, overall, you won't even notice. They look like they're supposed to, and they will rotate. Hopefully not jank, right? Yeah, they rotate smooth. I just say they're not K Forges. They are, but they're not. This is a mock-up model of, like, I was tired and didn't want to build a full drive shaft like I did for the Quixotic. Um, if you don't know what the Quixotic is, you can see that video. The back is very simple. Not even any top springs. They would be going up into this if it was doing a thing. So these are going to move up and down. There was not really much room to put a visual there, so I just didn't. These are going to move up and down though, so it kind of looks like the rear end has a different setup. Because it does. It's not an exact replica of the front, really. This one is flat on top across there, and this one is not. Is one of the big differences. Also, it's safe to say the inner workings in here of the pieces you can't see are doing some weird, fancy stuff, too. Something else about my vehicles, and likely it's included in the pack piece that you got. We have rear steering, crab steering, front steering, obviously, hopefully. Um, these rotate on their own custom little pivot thing like this. So these little pieces rotate. Now, if I sell the version and I don't include rear steering, just know the model is ready to have it. I just didn't include it. It depends on, what I create and come up with and really get my appraisals right for what the system is worth. Because right now, if it was the full blown thing, front steering, all of that, rear steering, all of the working stuff and everything, that's your $250,000 value of what, if you were building this for a game studio, a big one, that's what they would pay to have that kind of system for their game specifically. So it would be sold as like a specific tech, because everyone wants to build a game that has something that no other game has. Um, but these days, you see a lot of things being reused of mechanics and nothing that is too far into the future of a thing. Um, Overall, it gets a little bit. This is why you've heard players say they're a little bit tired of all of the games seeming like they're staying the same. Fuck, I did not roll that window back up. You know what? We'll just roll it back up manually. It's fine, bro. I can't see it from my house. Let me actually look at it and see if it's fine. Oh, what I mean by I can't see it from my house is if it looks jank, I can't see it from where I live, bro. I'm nowhere near it, so uh the horns on the front are also removable. They go with the hood, you know, to fit Becky's personality. But if anyone was like, I really wish I could freaking take those horns off, you can. You can take them off if you want to. You shouldn't deface Becky like that because she should be respected. Um, she has earned her way into this world. So yeah, I wouldn't suggest opening the hood too far, because I didn't build the thing to really handle the hood right. My origin is what it kind of is. I could remove or move my origin a certain way, but here's the actual truth. If you're looking at the front of this and the hood comes up and you see that underneath, you are not giving a damn about that right there. Okay? You're just not. You're really not. Um so that's where I can afford to sell this cheaper because I did a little jank thing there. Not because I didn't know how to fix it, because I didn't spend the extra time. The dodge on the front here, you can remove that if you want to keep that off of there so that you don't have dodge in your game that you're selling. Would be smart because you're not supposed to use real brands of things if you're not licensed to use those. But if you are licensed, you can use that thing. Though know this is not a real Dodge truck. It's definitely not. So this right here is just for looks of what it was supposed to be like. But this is truly unique design. The stacks are not removable. They're built into the body. She has stacks. All right. That is Becky's style signature. She asked me not to make those optional. So I respected her when I was building her. A cool thing with these rims that I don't know if I showed or not. I know you're looking at them saying, bro, those are ugly rims. I can't wait to swap those. You can swap them just fine. A cool thing that's in them though is a 3D modeled chainmail mesh ram thing in there. So if you don't like them, you can remove these ugly rims. The main thing you're most likely going to want to turn is the this material here on the tire black. You can easily do that with the materials in there. Um, this is for a visual construction look debug thing. When we're rolling the wheels, we can see what they're doing very clearly versus all black and we're hiding all of the cool um things. It's just the way I'm doing it so that she does look unique. She already looks unique. Doesn't even need fancy looking tires. I'm just showing that those are also two different materials. If you wanted to create your own kind of camouflage look, you have the two. I mean, I didn't individualize every piece, but you have two um, around there. She also has front brakes, I realized, and not back, and I need to fix that. So there was a version in Unity that I was working with, and then I realized I wanted to add a few more things on. That's why I came in here, was started recording this video to kind of talk about the systems, because before I release it and everything, I've realized I'm about to release something. Nobody knows who the hell I am. That's okay. It's not important who I am. It's important the information I give you about what you're going to buy. If you're buying this system or planning to, um, yeah, I wanted to kind of talk about it and where you'll be able to get it at. Right now, the plan is to release it in the Unity Asset Store first. I might put it on CG Trader. Not too sure yet. Another thing to note though is I've never sold my stuff before. Um, this is why I'm not known. So while I don't have, a massive whatever it would be called, I don't need one. I know who I am and I know what I can build. So, this is what this is about. It's not about trying to sound cocky because I don't give a shit about that. I care about systems and ones that work. So I'm not here to bullshit you about anything. Um, and, I use strong language because I'm very serious about what I'm saying. So I'm not going to babyfoot this around. All right. I'm going to give it to you raw as it is. That's the truth. So you don't have to like me for a person, man. I'm not out here to try to be friends with nobody. We don't got to be friends, bro. We can be, but it's not the goal. I'm not out here looking for the clout stuff. All right. Y'all can keep that. Y'all can have it. Whatever the hell you're going to do with it, keep it. I don't want it. Um, what I want is just to create some cool shit, man, and let people like me also have these same kind of tools. At least parts of them. I mean, I can't give them the whole world, but I can get y'all going with some good stuff that is definitely nowhere to be found out there. The kind of systems that I have created here are just not a thing that you're going to find. Um, that's the truth. And so like that's kind of what I'm selling. And I'm selling KForge as a brand a little bit there. It would be good to know what KForge is. It sounds high tech, man, because it is. Like it sounds like a real brand because it's going to be my developer. Like when I release my games, they're gonna be developed by KForge. All of the stuff in there is going to be my stuff and my systems that I built and things like that. But um something that you can have as a collector's item, or like because you could buy this thing and not care about doing anything with it, but maybe you want to drive it. Maybe you just want to own something that was an original KForge design. This is the first actual KForge thing that is going to be a public sold thing. For my customers, if anyone watching this is one or plans to be or is thinking about it, I'm not out here to get famous. Okay. If anything, I'm trying to help others make their big money check if that's what you're doing it for. But really, you shouldn't be building this stuff for money. You shouldn't be building your game just for money. I am truly passionate about the stuff that I build to a fault, man. Like to date, I have not made a single dollar off of anything that I have built because I have not released anything yet. So this proves right now, I can say this. I won't be able to say this forever, but like right now, all of the stuff that I have designed and everything is not for sale yet. So I have made no money on it. I have invested so much time building this stuff. That is where my value has come out of it. Really, the value has come out of learning from what I've been doing. But I want you to know that if you see a big price tag on something that is K Forge, it is, and it's me selling it. That's the other thing to note. It needs to be from like legitimate me. Um, and that information will be out when it's a available thing. So right now, I can't. I would be guessing what the name would be, but to an extent, it's like K Forge, futuristic designs or something like that is the uh I think concept name that I've played around with. I'm still building stuff that I'm making a sellable version. So, I haven't planned a lot of naming stuff out and everything like that. But I do think I've talked about the truck plenty. If there's any details I didn't go over, reverse lights would work, brake lights, blinkers would work. The blinkers are tied in on my vehicle. Um, I did this one, that piece, and the front here. So when they light up, they all three light up, and I didn't have to slot in three different things. I would suggest if you're building models like that, you do the same. But a difference thing is these lights up here have a blinker system in them as well. And you'll notice that these are not grouped with the blinkers. This is because I don't quite know if I'm going to leave them as blinkers. If I do, it's as simple as adding another slot for that side of it, and putting them in here. But another thing that might be used for is the startup sequence, because I could just make the startup sequence just flash these when it turns on, or left and right, um, and do it that way. But they are separate because I can see these are selected and those ain't. So they would be flashers. I mean, they would be blinkers and flashers technically, but they're able to work with these, so we can see all of the inner working stuff in there. Very cool truck. Very interesting indeed. If it was one of those fancy cards that you collect, this would be one of them you'd want to collect. Just because it looks cool, man. But the body paint and all that can be changed. There will be a material like body paint here. You can literally make it whatever color you want to make it or whatever. But Becky needs to be shipped this way because she is the patina version of, you know, whatever she is. She's Becky. So like there's not really any other way to say it. That's what she is. Very unique, one of one. You're not gonna find another version of this out there, and if you do, somebody stole it. Somebody is selling my design, man, because this definitely custom. Okay, there are details here that are definitely distinct, even in the body, um, and everything like that. So yeah, man. I mean, I built this stuff to inspire people that are creating as well, and hopefully they want to create some cool stuff too. It's in a way it's for that as well. It's an inspiration piece along with a visual tutorial without a full documentation of you're having to read a lot of stuff. You can visually see the thing as I explain it. So I'm sure these videos run long when I talk about this information. Hopefully not a lot of it is rambling, man, because I'm trying to give you factual information that you can use and maybe to answer questions before any of this becomes a thing yet. Um because when it does, I don't know if anyone's going to buy the stuff or whatever, like I don't know the future of it. It could be nobody buys this at all. Most likely I imagine someone will though, because if you look in the Unity asset store today, before this truck is actually on there, nothing like it exists on there. I don't have access to Unreal Engine because I don't I mean, I have the engine, I don't use it, so I don't know what their if they even have an asset store, or however they do their thing. But if they do, which I'm sure they do, I imagine there's not anything on there like this either. And I don't just mean this visual model. Obviously, there's not anything like the model on there. I mean the scripts that run this machine. There is literally you're not going to find anything out there like it. You're just not. Not yet. Not until KForge system gets released, whatever I name it. So I want you to know that before buying anything. Like, I don't want you to buy anything not knowing. It's just not what you do. You should ever do for anything. I don't care what they're selling. Um, but I do want you to know this is not a Rolex being sold in a Walmart. Okay, this is a legit thing being sold by a legit thing. Um, and even though it's far beyond what is typically put on there because of its value, this is why I'm K Forge and I designed this to help people. Like, it's you'll know me as that if you have used my systems and hopefully respect it. Um, because I'm not making this stuff as a toy. This is not a toy. This is a serious like system. That does need to be clarified. You can have fun with it. I mean, you can use it in your game as, messing around with whatever, but it's not like you're going to get this and it's going to not work. You're going to plug it into the scene for what I sell it as a prefab, hit play, you'll walk over to Becky, you will be able to get right in, you will be able to turn the engine on, you will be able to drive her around. You can put that in any scene you want from there, but I would prefer you put it in an empty scene first so you see what is all just there in that scene. It's the best, cleanest environment to do it in to keep your stuff safe and clean too, because I don't know what you have in your scenes or whatever. Also, the camera rig that's going to come with it needs to be that for now. You can slot your own camera object there, but the way all of the systems work is what I want you to see. So, like, before putting it into your own stuff and fighting it and trying to wrestle how the hell any of this shit works, I want you to test the full thing. Now, if I package it out in different systems, like the base level, the next level of it, and the next level of it, or if I build a base level and then all of the additionals or modules, like say the radio's a module, the heating system's a module, the fuel system's a module, then there will probably be another video explaining how any of that is. But currently, I'm trying to build a version that is affordable, that gets a lot of the core pieces, the ideas of them there, and then I will build an ultimate package that I might sell, but on a private website, like my own website that I run at that stage, if there are people interested in it. But otherwise, I'm not just going to put out $250,000 of technology into Unity or Unreal or just publicly right out the gate. It's not how KForge works. Uh, like I'm building a business model for myself, um, but I'm still like my number one priority for myself, and I do need to be clear about this before I end the video. Like I'm building it my own game and I'm building it my way and with my time. And that is where my primary focus is right now. So I'm not like um I'm not spending a bunch of time building all of these other things that I'm planning on just selling. I have a warehouse of vehicles though that I can part with. This was one of them that I revamped for this occasion. She was the worst one that I had because she was like the earliest start of when I first started the whole modeling on the side thing. Um, and so this was one like, can I save this? Can I make it into something at least decent? And she's became, the primary looking thing. I wouldn't want to start with anything else. I want her to look like she isn't showroom ready while being showroom ready. Like I'm I, she has all the bells and whistles, right? Well, a version of her does. But anyway, visually on her parts, whether you have the scripts for them or not, she has the capabilities of the stuff. So she's basically looking like $1,000,000 on the inside of her heart, but she's just not that, you know, what you would expect on the outside. But she is, if you understand what patina means, or if you understand car cultures and stuff like that, and show vehicles and stuff like that, you would understand. But I think it's a cool, unique way. It's totally me. It's totally the way I design stuff. So it's not like I built this specifically to start with customers in mind, because it wasn't that. And I'm being honest, it really wasn't. It was for me, and learning how to build stuff or whatever. And she's got a little few dings and dents, but she's supposed to. She's aged and everything like that. And somebody got her, threw some nice wheels on her, threw their own suspension on her. Maybe they had a wrecked dually 3500 and they stripped it apart and then built their own interior out of this, or they modeled it. This isn't really a one to one anything of the real world stuff. So they didn't necessarily have the real one, but like in the logic or lore that she would have behind her, of how she was created, would be something like that. Um, you know, and it also, I made it look like they tried to fit it in, but they weren't like top tier designers. And I'll go ahead and show you this. Like, this is like someone's backyard build. Someone that had plenty of time on their hands or whatever. They built or retrofitted a door panel on here. But really, you would have filled this in as well, the trim around it of rust. But I wanted it to look like it was fitting on something that it wasn't supposed to fit on. I know that it already looks like that, but if this door panel was perfectly fitted, it would just look like it's supposed to be there. Now, when the door is shut, you don't see the bottom half of this door like this. When you're standing as the character, you're probably not going to see too much of the bottom of the door if you ever are even looking at it. But it's just little detail like that. Also on her, and I gotta make sure I say this because there might be someone that looks for the shit. This one has a speaker box but doesn't have visual speakers in there. Okay? Just gonna go ahead and say that. The reason was, on this one you would never see the freaking speakers. You might look for the port. I did build a port on the box though. It's a ported box. Just so you know. And it's not a pro box, it's a flow box, okay? But it has this cool port. It has a slot here and a slot over here where the base would come out like that and it would come out like that. So you would fill that on your right arm if you've ever been in a vehicle that has bass. You know what I'm talking about. We're talking subwoofer bass, and ported box allows that air to be pushed out, so you have even more of that bass. Where a closed box does not have the port, so you still have bass, but like with a ported one, bro, you're blowing people's hair around and stuff like that. If you got a legit system, maybe you don't. Maybe that's not your cup of tea, man. But I'm just letting you know. She's got it. All right. Everybody's was young once and liked to bump a little bit, even if it was to rock and roll, bro. Okay. You gotta get it like you get it and roll how you roll. Anyway, man, I know I've talked a lot, and I tried not to be too silly for a lot of it because this is serious systems and everything. And going over her model of what she is, how she's came together, and all of that, I wanted to do it. I didn't have to, but me being who I am and have actually created this stuff, it's proper for me to do it. Um, just so you know. So I will try to cut out a lot of the junk. And if I cut around and there was a lot of cuts, man, I was rambling about things that didn't pertain to what I'm building. That is information that you didn't need to hear. So anyway, I got to get back to it. Until next time, Adios.